Sorry about that. Apologies. I'm Jules. I'm Strategy Director at Near Star Media. We're a content marketing and video production agency based in Birmingham.
Fantastic. Linda.
I run a small manufacturing business that makes educational kits.
Marvellous, thank you. And Sue?
I try and take everything off your to-do list you don't want to do. So I support small businesses in doing their admin, basically, accounts, business development, that kind of thing.
Fantastic, thank you. And
nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. And you know me, sales trainer, Aston, and all of that. And first of all, thank you very much for first of all, thanks for coming back. That's always good to see. But also you'll remember. In fact, I'm going to go to shared screen straight away if that's okay. So it's much nicer to look at this rather than me all the time. So I'm going to share. That, and you should be seeing lead generation strategy on your screens now. Give us a thumbs up if that's working. If you would, fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Okay, right. So we've done intro. So last week we covered go to market. Prior to that, it was value proposition, and which is effectively just what we do for a living, and how the benefits that we bring to our clients and what they can achieve through working with us. And what's interesting here is we've got three very different businesses. With Emma, of course, it's a fourth very different business that's getting involved. So we should get a good diversity of thought coming into this. Last week we covered go to market, how to take those messages to market. This week we're going to cover lead generation. And lead generation, we're going to talk about getting the right kind of leads and what happens if you get the wrong kind of leads. And if you know the computer model of garbage in, garbage out, that should resonate. Lead generation is no different to that. Going to have a guest speaker on this because it's a very specialized area, some aspects of lead generation, particularly when it comes to social media. And I do not profess to be a guru in social media. I know enough to know that it's really important to get right and really easy to get wrong. And what happens when you do get it wrong. So Marianne is going to join us around about 11:30. And so what I'll do is I'll go through this, but when she does join, I'm going to go straight to her material if that's okay. All right, brilliant. Okay, so you'll recognize this from last week. Sue, I can send you a copy of this if you like, but it basically is the representation of our businesses and that whole ecosystem. So with the internal culture, again, just wrapping up, that's around really what your business stands for, your internal culture, your values, your purpose, your vision. The external market is something that we're all exposed to just at the minute, and is generally stuff that's totally outside our control. And the two obvious ones are Brexit just now and also COVID. But there will be others that are particular to you or your business sector, which could be business funding, it could be regulatory stuff that comes in, which just affects you, which you have little or no control over. Then we talk about the value or supply chain. Supply chain is an older sort of term. I like the term of value chain because that means making every big one. It means taking advantage or exploiting the hidden value in all aspects. A big one. In all aspects of your business. That's not just your suppliers, that's your customers. I believe they're an asset of your business, and certainly if you're looking to sell or an exit strategy, it will be a massive asset for you in the valuation. But there are a number of other aspects that come in there. We talked about that. And then you'll go to market overall strategy and the effort. Are you selling directly? Are you selling indirectly or through partnerships, perhaps retailers or distribution? And have you got a business to business model or a business to consumer? And Linda, your business, I've been reflecting on this the last sort of few days or so. Actually, you're a business, you've got a blend, I would argue, because yours is a business to business in the sense that you're selling to other businesses, but actually your end users, of course, will be consumers, and they are just as important, addressing their needs as they are addressing the needs, the business needs of the people that pay your invoices, which are the retailers and distribution and all the rest of it. So it's really important to get your head around those sort of contexts, if you like. Anyway, so here we are in the I'm talking about business to business sales process, but and actually business to consumer results in at least 5 of these, depending on the complexity of the sale anyway. So this is all inclusive, if you like, the fully comprehensive model. And just a reminder, value proposition, go to market, we talked about last week. We are here, we're lead generation, which is number 3 in that phase. Next week, we'll be talking about deal qualification. What does the client actually need? And what does the client want to buy? And sometimes they can be 2 separate things. It's really important. So Juliana, we were talking about a project, I won't name the client, where they want to buy right here, right now, something which is, you know, fairly small, and this is typical right here, but actually when you go on their website you think, oh my goodness, they need all of this, my goodness me. Well, sometimes you have to take the client or the prospect on a bit of a journey to get to that place where you've got the whole, you're addressing their, what you believe, because of your expertise, their full set of needs, if you like. You've got to kind of take them. We talk about processes, don't we, or cycles. You've got a selling cycle, but importantly, your customer or prospect has a buying cycle. And depending on where they are in that cycle, if you try selling too early, it's going to frustrate both parties. You may even upset your prospect, which precludes you from selling to them in the future. So really important. I look upon it, and I can't even do this properly, but the old rubbing tummy and getting those sort of in cycles really, really important in the sales cycle. Anyway, so then if it's a complex one, and in public sector, it can be complex. We might have to speak to a number of different people, a number of different stakeholders to make that sale happen, called a pursuit strategy. And then we'll negotiate terms and we'll close that piece of business or not. If we can't secure acceptable terms, that can happen. And then we'll, you'll have noticed, of course, and I bang on about this because it's so important this year more than ever, which is, you know, don't neglect your existing customers. And I'll come to this later on in the series, but there's loads of research out there. The research I'm going to quote is from Harvard Business Review, which is a respected publication, that new customers cost between 5 and 25 times as much to win a new piece of business from a new client, as 5 to 25 times more than it is from an existing customer. So keeping your existing customers happy, delighted, all of those words is really good for business. It's really profitable. Okay, so right, I want to tell you a quick story, and I did ask her permission. We agreed I wouldn't reveal the surname, but I have a new client that I'm coaching. She's had quite a career. She's been the CEO of a number of different businesses. She's now a business coach. She's working with various demographics. There is a point to all this, just in case why you're wondering why I'm telling you about Catherine. So she was the CEO of a recruitment business for about 20 years, so she knows loads of people. And I know, Sue, that you've got a background in recruitment too, so you'll sort of understand that dynamic. She's been a coach for the last 5 years and really successful in terms of the target market that she's had, which is generally lots of job seekers and people that are funding her business via local sort of community funding, grants, the LEP, etc. So you'll recognise that world that's funding her work. There you go. And she is famous in her area in that space. She's not in the United Kingdom. Now she bills 40 hours a week, which is okay. I mean, it's being busy is good, right? The trouble is she's very passionate what she does, which is wonderful, but she's probably working 60 hours a week. She's now stuck in this cycle where she's so busy, and feeling unfulfilled, if you like. She wants to go to the next step, but how does she reverse out of what she's doing? And given that there's 40 hours a week of billing, but 60 hours of work, how does she kind of manage all that and without the wheels falling off, so to speak? And in her own words, this is not something I've written down to insult her character, but she's boxed herself in. And she's become what she would call a busy fool. And I'm not a big fan of that expression because it's a little bit visceral, if you like, but I don't know if anyone else recognises it. When she told me about that, and I thought, well, I can point to at least 2 occasions in my 30-year career where I've had a similar sort of feeling, if you like, and it's really easy to sleepwalk into. And this is why your target market is really important. If you try selling to everyone, you will end up generally selling to no one, and you may even get the customers that really aren't going to make you feel sort of fulfilled. So that target market is really, really important. So the wrong kind of leads can lead to the wrong kind of opportunities and a sort of spiral, if you like, of challenges that you didn't really sign up for. So it's really important to get this right. Okay, so a quick question that I have for you, and I am happy to discuss this openly if you are, if you want to come forward with this, is how are you currently generating leads for your business? Linda, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but can I just ask you, how do leads come into you at the moment?
Well, we do it 2 ways, really. One, we're prospecting through lists that Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi and the Microbit Foundation list of retailers for the actual, for Microbit and Raspberry Pi. And then also, if we ever get any queries about our products from just individuals, generally we go back and we answer the query and go, oh, by the way, who would you buy for in your country? Can you recommend people to approach?
Wow, okay, brilliant. So you've got a sort of a stream that we could all do with a bigger stream, I'm sure, but you've got a stream of sort of inquiries there, which is great to operate from. Thank you for your candor in that. Would anyone else like to answer that question around developing leads? I don't mind what the answer is, by the way. We can go anywhere with this.
I'll jump in. Generally speaking, mine have been recommends, people who've worked with me or people who know me that have recommended me to other people. Obviously, since the lockdown issues and all of the stuff that's brought us, my sea for fishing in has become somewhat smaller because I'm much more used to doing face-to-face networking, that kind of thing, and people meet me and think, oh yes, you can do what you say you can do. Whereas I find that so much more difficult on either Zoom calls for networking or, just generally connecting with people on LinkedIn. People aren't looking for that kind of thing on LinkedIn. Yes, you're there, you're a presence, that's great. But it is much more difficult. So, that's why I wanted to be on today to, see what I can learn.
Thank you for that. Sorry, we're not actually on fire. That's the regular fire test, which they've decided to do today. Sorry about that.
Oh, right. I can't hear that. Sorry. You're right. You've got the benefit of that one.
I haven't noticed a change in temperature. Juliana, may I ask you, how does that whole generating leads?
We're not generating leads really. At the moment, we've got a client that's proving to be a massive learning curve, to say the least.
What a diplomat you are.
Well, it's interesting. It's a slight diversion. So this client came about through recommendation. We were recommended to them. And when the guy arrived, he actually said, "I know nothing about you, but you've been recommended by this person whom I totally trust. And so we're going with you. You know, we want to build a relationship." It's proven to be massively difficult. And in fact, I've got into a situation where what the client has asked for, we have delivered. Basically, they wanted point and shoot, which they said they didn't want in the beginning, but that's turned out to be what they want. And we've obviously done it to the highest standards we possibly can. But I'm now in a position where, you know, I've had to debate with myself ethically, as a member of the Chartered Institute of PR, should I say something to them about what they're doing or not? And because of the resistance to any kind of consultancy or other expertise, as in marketing and communications, I've not said anything in order to keep the client happy.
That's really interesting.
And not upset the apple cart. So that's, yeah. And that's making me rethink what kind of clients, you know, do I want to have? And going back to your previous, the last two editions of this course,
yeah,
you know, really making me think, who on earth do I need to be targeting and approaching? People who want the full spectrum of expertise that we can offer.
You offer, and that's a really good point. We will talk more about that specific opportunity offline, if that's okay.
Yeah.
What you've done is you've introduced a really interesting thing, because first of all, not everyone knows what they want, and that talks to, because you're in the content marketing, in the video business, which is a really interesting area to be in. But of course, I have now, but 12 months ago, I've never bought a video. So I know what I think looks good on screen, but I've never actually procured a service or written down a set of requirements. And so there's an education process to go through even before you decide to sell them or they decide to buy from you. So that's a few things to talk about there.
Just to be clear,
yeah.
This wasn't just about, because the video was made under the most difficult circumstances in one room, you know, so we've done a fantastic job there, making it look different for each bit of content in this video. So from the technical expertise point of view, absolutely fine, no problem. The people being interviewed were really happy. They enjoyed the process. We made it fun. Where the difficulty is coming in is with my particular expertise, which is reputation management and brand building. And, you know, they're doing something where I'm thinking to myself, if I were your head of communications, I would not put this out.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. It's difficult when you're looking at the business as a whole, which is two sets of expertise, which should be complementary.
Yes.
But yeah, client.
Well, I think.
Anyway, I'm going to stop. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack things.
Not at all, no. But you have you've introduced another point there as well, which is should you sell a client what they want or what they need? We will, and that's a constant, what I would call tension in business. And I would argue, now some people have challenged me on this because they'll talk about ethics. Now, first of all, to put this out there, you shouldn't ever sell something which you don't firmly believe in. But there are occasions when clients just aren't they're just not, they've got to make that journey with you sometimes, and they just don't know what they want. So sometimes you have to sell them what they believe they want, and what they need will come out of that as the relationship sort of ensues. But you started along that journey, because if you're perfectly entitled to say, I don't think we can do business because for whatever reason that is. But actually, I think that's quite a rarity. If you can't achieve, first of all, there's no such thing. If there's one thing worse than no business, it's bad business. I think we've heard that a few times in the last 3-4 years. But it's really difficult, really costly, really time draining to go on a journey like that, unless you're learning something from the process as well. And if that's a new sector for you, then that might be part of the price you have to pay to develop your reputation in that area. That's another way you could kind of look at that. Okay, but thank you for that. Okay, so I'm also interested in, let's say, for every 10 opportunities that come your way, whether they're proactively sought from you or whether they're inbound, what I would call inbound leads, I wonder what your percentage close rate is. You don't have to answer this out loud if you don't want to, but if everything's working right, it will never be 100%, I don't think. If it is 100%, I would argue there's not enough coming in, and maybe that's something that needs a bit of attention. But it should be more than 51%. Again, I had a client in York, funnily enough, who deliver apps. They create apps for businesses, and they were only, when I first got with them, they were, for every 10 proposals they wrote, they were only one of them would actually get through to generate cash. So there's a lot of wasted effort and cycles on that if you're not careful. So that would be too low, but 100% I think is too high. Would suggest that there's more capacity that you should be providing to your market. So did someone try and ask you a question then? If not, I'll carry on. And also identify where are your inbound leads coming from. Are they coming from a particular source, be it a client referral? Sounds like you've had a client referral there, Juliana, which is, I mean, that is the best thing. A warm intro is a beautiful thing. And so whoever made that introduction for you, I hope you're investing in that relationship, because if it's who I think it is, then they can take you other places as well. So be absolutely on the ball there. And that's part of what we've talked about before, almost your unpaid sales force, those champions that are recommending you time and time again. Very, very valuable to your business. Okay, so I've got some cold, hard facts around, because we're all over 18, so we all know that the world is not always a beautiful place. So some cold, hard facts around lead generation is, I believe there are two types of lead generation. One is active, where you're it's requiring action from you or your sales or business development team. And then there's one which is passive, should we say a softer sort of approach, which could be social media. So it's not a direct selling opportunity. It could be around creating awareness in the market. It's a softer, it's a more subtle or nuanced message. It could be brand building recognition in that market, in that particular marketplace or sector, just improving your profile. And a post on LinkedIn, which is about your manufacturing service, which talks about a new customer success and why they bought from you. It's not a directly selling related opportunity. It could be just a case for you to showcase your brand, the Northwest, showing off the manufacturing is not dead in this country after all. You know, rules of my demise are greatly exaggerated and all of that. Actually, manufacture. Did you know, by the way, that there's a thriving shoe manufacturing business in this country? And in fact, I think Skelmersdale, which is not too far away from you, Linda. The firm Hotter Shoes are based up there. They've got 2,000 employees, half in their factory, half in the retail stores. That may have changed over the last 6-8 months, but actually they've got 40% of the UK shoe market. Stuff that never gets any airtime, but actually is really, really thriving. So, and we, Churches and Barkers, they're very specialised and all the rest of it, but actually there's really high quality and burgeoning market there. Now it looks like Marianne is just about coming in. I'm going to let her go through that process. Finish off this slide. So passive and active marketing. Marianne, hi, welcome along. I mute everyone, Marianne, by the way. Just give me 2 minutes to finish this off. So I've been talking about lead generation, some cold hard facts. 2 types, I believe, 2 types in my world: active lead gen, passive lead generation, which is the softer side. The target market. Now I'm in dangerous territory here because we've got 4 women on the line, but I am going to tell you, I got remarried 8 years ago, 2012, and I met my wife online, which is you don't have to go to Waitrose anymore or a nightclub. You can do everything online. It's a beautiful thing. But anyway, the guy that I was flat sharing with at the time, Steve, I told him that I'm going to put on my profile no neurotic. Now, I didn't know the concept of target market at the time, but I put on there no neurotics because I just don't respond well with very intense people, shall we say. So he said, don't do that. You'll thin down your pipeline of available dates, because actually doing business, attracting new customers is actually quite similar to the dating game. Now, if you guys, I know I'm on dangerous territory here, Juliana, you're going to tell me off later on probably, but it is very similar. You'd have to argue that. But also, Linda, you're in Northwest. I don't know if you know someone called Anne Williamson, but I would encourage you to follow her on. In fact, all of you. Anne Williamson talks about this an awful lot. She does customer service type consultancy. She works with some really big brands, and she talks about, are you a one-night stand business? So how are you in developing customer relationships? She's just got a way of talking about these things. Anyway, so that whole no neurotics thing, which I kind of put out there. That was a way, a blunt instrument, you might argue, but it was a way of, kind of developing my target market, developing that audience. So I certainly don't apologize for that, but it's just a sort of personal reflection on how important this really is. And your messaging. So this is really important. I come across this a lot. And I'm doing a free webinar this afternoon, which I think Linda, you'll sign up for. If your LinkedIn, and it doesn't, but I've had this loads of times, if your LinkedIn headline says your name, manager at self-employed, that is probably worse than useless, but certainly as a minimum useless, because it tells nobody anything apart from you're a manager at self-employed. It's just not. So your messaging has to be really, really on point. So anyway, without cold calling, so the phone, I don't know if anyone does that anymore, and I kind of I do it now and again, just to keep my hand in, because I want to keep my skills sharp, but also it does have a place. Excuse me. So long live the cold call. I will come on to that a little bit later because there's a lot to get through. So just for the moment, I am going to I'm going to make Marianne a co-host here, because I remember that I've got to do that. I'm going to stop sharing just at this point. And oh, hi Marianne and Colin.
Hi, how are you?
I'm lovely, thank you for asking. Marianne's been extremely generous, and I thank you for that. But I've said that social media is, well, first of all, it's a relatively new business. It's probably been around 10 years or so, and I've been on LinkedIn since 2004, when there was, I think, 1 million people on there. There's 600 odd million people on LinkedIn now. I am, so I'm going to get myself into trouble. But anyway, it's really specialized business. So I wanted to bring in somebody who really knows their stuff. And I know and trust Marianne an awful lot with doing that. So are you okay, Marianne, if I just kind of...
Yeah, sure.
Hand
over. Yeah, that's fine. And I've got Amber who's with me today. I'm in a client's office and Amber's just started.
Hello, Amber.
So Amber's going to listen in. Is that all right?
Yes, of course it is.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So she's literally on day 3 and I've just pulled her into this webinar. So that's good. Okay, so who have I got? I've got Linda. Hi, nice to meet you, Linda.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got Juliana, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Hi there. And I've got Suzanne. Yeah.
Hi, Marianne.
Hi there. Just so I can get a little bit of background and I can help you with the lead generation a bit more. Can you just tell me what you do? First of all, Linda, give me an overview of your business.
We manufacture educational kits.
Educational kits, fantastic. So who's your target market? Who would you do that?
Well, we sell via retailers, so we've got 2 markets really. I've got to try and generate leads from the retailers who I want to actually sell the kits, but we also need to reach the end customer so that there's a demand.
Okay, lovely, thank you. And Juliana?
So I'm a director of a content marketing and video production agency.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's a bit difficult because I haven't really worked out who the target market is, because we straddle different sectors. So what I do is applicable, the principles are applicable to any sector.
Yeah.
But I guess the marketing directors or marketing and communications directors, decision makers, who are looking to build brand, and that's the closest.
No, that's perfect. Okay, that's great. Lovely. And Suzanne?
I'm essentially a virtual PA, but I also do business development, credit control, so everything admin plus that. So I'm looking for busy small businesses who need extra help, who need to learn to delegate, and also startup companies. That's my main.
Startup companies, right? Fantastic. Thank you.
Someone
very
who, in
much.
theory, I can grow with, because I've got a lot of business knowledge as well.
Yeah.
From various experiences. So it's something I can actually help them with as well.
Absolutely, brilliant. Okay, well, as Keith said, I'm Marianne and I've been in marketing for about 20 years. As we go into the presentation, I'll tell you how I help businesses to grow. So I'm going to share the screen. So first of all, can everybody see the screen? Yeah, and we will kick off. Oh, second. There we go, from the beginning. Okay, so as I said, I'm Marianne from Do Marketing, and my business is to help other businesses to grow through marketing and the customer journey. So today is to help you understand how to generate leads with the right kind of businesses. And I love this title because this title sums up for me, it's around the right kind of leads and the right kind of customers, so your best customer. So if you can think, this is why I wanted to find out in terms of who we are speaking to today when we're trying to think of leads, who your best customer is. Now that might be somebody who you're currently working with, or it might be somebody ideally you'd like to work with. So to give you an example, I work with professional services. So my best customers are accountants, HR companies, recruitment companies, solicitors. That's my best customer, but also how I like to work with them. So they have to be, an ambitious director or partner. They want to grow the business, they get marketing, and they want marketing to help grow the business. So if you can think of, just have a client in your head, that would help through this presentation. Okay, so this is how I help businesses like yourselves. I work on the customer journey. There are 6 stages to the customer journey. So if we start at the top, I'll give you an example. This is what we're going to focus on today. we're going to focus on awareness, and we're going to focus on the social media side, the lead generation. So you take the 6 stages and look at awareness. It could be, I'm on LinkedIn. I want them to go to my website. That's a consideration. I want them to set up, either come to a webinar, or I want to set up a meeting. That's the trial. They're getting a little bit of me, but they're not quite ready to sign up. And then the onboarding. So that's the purchase. Yeah, that lovely onboarding, that lovely welcome window. Then the retention, how I look after my clients. And then the advocacy. So how do I get my clients shouting great things about me? That helps with my referral strategy, helps with word of mouth, and helps with my credibility. So that's the customer journey. But like I said, today we're going to focus on awareness, and that's where social media sits in. So before we start, there is a brilliant book, and I know Keith will know this book, and it's Simon Sinek, and it starts with why. So everything you do, why you get out of bed, whether it's to walk the dog, whether it's to feed your kids, whether it's to go to work, whether it's to make money, there is always a why. And we have to understand our why before we move forward. So why lead generation and why social media? Is it to raise awareness of your business or you? Is it to attract customers? And is it for those customers to get to know you on social media, to get to like you, and to get to trust you? But it's also to think about your best customers. So I'm going to go back to 3, just so everybody understands that a little bit more. The get to know you side, where people fail in terms of LinkedIn. Number 1, they think they need to be on every single platform going. So when I look at a website, it absolutely fills me with dread when I see LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. I can see, oh my goodness, from a marketing point of view, this business is overwhelmed. They've been told by a social media expert that they need to be on all these platforms. And actually, it's about being where your best customers are. So for me, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn every single day. I have a Facebook account. I could close it down tomorrow. I can't remember the last time I actually posted on Facebook, because all my clients are B2B. I've fallen back in love with Twitter. I am going to use my Twitter, but that's it. People are trying to get me on Instagram. I am not interested, because my clients are not on Instagram. So it's about them getting to know you. So it's also getting to like you, and also them getting to trust you. So just to make that kind of fit, what I will do, I will like something on social media. So people can see me, they're getting to know me. There's Marianne. There's Marianne talking about the customer experience. There's Marianne talking about the customer journey. And then I might comment, and that's kind of taking it up. I might comment on somebody else's post, and that's me giving a little bit back to them. But I would never start a post until I've done those 2 things first. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a bit of a Q&A at the end, where you can ask me around, where should I start in terms of my LinkedIn or my Facebook? The trust element comes with the things that I post. So if you think of like, tick, comment, I'm going to add a commentary on somebody else's post. And the final thing is trust. So that's where I'm giving away every day my expertise. So Keith's on LinkedIn a lot, and we will put something out to give a top tip away. So that's the know, like, and trust, and I'll help you with that at the end. And again, just think about your best customer all the way through, because this is who we're talking to on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, whichever we decide at the end of this session, which one's the right one for you, because where your customers are, you do not need to be on everything. Okay. The second thing I would say is to know what success looks like. Yeah. So don't sign up to any social media platform and think I need to be doing everything. So if you know what success looks like, you know that social media is working for you. So the client that I'm in today, they want 2 new clients every single month. That's it. That's it. Or it might be, I've got another client, she has to hit 10 grand every month. We know we've got that goal in our mind, because the more we use social media, the more people are seeing us. If you imagine a funnel, the more people are seeing us, the more inquiries we're going to get, the more people we get to talk to, the more conversions. So in terms of my HR client, where I am at today, we know she needs to get 2 new clients a month. So we know we know who those best customers are. We know she wants more of them. So we know the types of things that we're pushing out to convert those posts into inquiries and into conversions, and obviously into clients. So if you don't understand what your success looks like, if you haven't given yourself goals, or if you haven't given yourself milestones. So a milestone could be, from today, I'm going to update my LinkedIn profile. From today, I'm going to set up Facebook. Because if you set yourself milestones and you tick, you just feel better than it being so overwhelming. So really write down what that success looks like, whether it's a target, whether it's a number of clients, or whether it's just an action that you're going to get done from today. Okay, so the 3 most important things when it comes to social media are, and this is the same whether it is LinkedIn, so if you're more B2B, you would be on LinkedIn, whether it is B2C, so a couple of you mentioned that you've got 2 kind of target areas that you're trying to get into. In that case, you might have to be on both platforms, or you might decide, you know what, I'm just going to stick with one, like I do. So the 3 most important things are, number 1, your profile. So another thing that fills me with dread is if I see a profile and it's got a guy and he's got his daughter in his arms, or a woman's there with a glass of wine and she's there with her friends, or I did see one yesterday, Keith, I'm not lying here. It was a lady in a bikini, and she looked great in a bikini, but she got away with it because she does nutrition and she does, she does fitness. So we will let her off. I'm not quite sure that, I would do that, but anyway. So the profile is really, really important. So I always say to clients, think of it as your best CV ever. Think of it as your best pitch ever. Because if you rush out to start to talk to people on LinkedIn or talk to people on Facebook, start pushing something out there, and they're looking at your profile and checking it out, straight away they're falling off a cliff. And this is where people go wrong in terms of, being adventurous, signing up to a social media platform, filling it in, but not quite finishing it off. Bang, I'm going to go straight to posting. So just make sure you've got a nice banner, and we can look at mine if you want, or if you want me to check out yours, a nice LinkedIn banner at the top, so your branding's on there. A photograph. The photograph doesn't have to be suited and booted. It doesn't have to look corporate and professional. I've seen photographs where we've had hotel managers stand outside, beautiful Skipton scenery in the background, but she was in a suit. That really worked for her. I've seen where trades have had the logo on there, but it's just a polo shirt. Again, absolutely fine. Whatever you feel comfortable in. A professional photograph is good because you can use them again and again. So I would always say, if you can, invest in a professional photography. So yeah, make sure your photograph's right. Second thing is just make sure that your about section is. Don't speak in the third party. It isn't a CV, so it's not. Marianne is friendly and approachable. It's I am friendly and approachable. It's speaking in as you, and come across with your personality. Get that over in your profile, and then make sure you fill in your experience sections. The second thing is your network. So this is why I asked you all to think about your best customer. So for instance, my network, I've got my clients on there. I've got my prospects in there, because obviously I want to link in with them. I've got associates, I've got suppliers, I've got people in my network group. And the way I draw it, if you can just imagine a circle like that, and in the middle you've got my world, and then you've got clients, prospects, associates, and you're building your world out. Because the more people you are linked in with, or you're connected to on Facebook, the more people will see your posts. So you're raising your profile. So remember at the beginning, one of them was awareness. It's about raising your profile to the right people.
Excellent.
Right?
No, do you know, Marianne, thank you. Sorry to cut in there, but I call that an ecosystem. And if you like, we have literally just talked about that. But I hope that resonates with everyone. When you talked about that sort of circle, if it's okay with you, I'll send you my slide, because it might also be help. Sorry, I just wanted to get that.
No. I'm glad it all fits. Yeah, brilliant. And then the third thing is your content. So what are you going to put out there? What do you want to be famous for? And you know, I love this slide because it shows if you want your brand out there, you've got to have your right profile there. You want to be connecting with the right people. You want to push out the right messages, talk about the things you want to be famous for, and stick to that. Yeah. So if I like something and if I comment on something or I post something, I always relate it back to marketing, to the customer journey, to customer experience. I'm in a group where we help each other with posts, and if someone puts something on there about property, I don't like or comment or post or say anything, because property is not my world, bookkeeping is not my world. Yeah, so I know exactly what I want to be famous for, and that's my content. Now, we're here to talk about lead generation. So I'm not going to blind you with marketing science, but I hope this will help to explain how basically how you attract customers through something like social media. So there are two forms of marketing. There's inbound and there's outbound marketing. Yeah. So if you think back to the olden days, you know, maybe when we were kids, it was all outbound. It was TV adverts, it's big billboards, it's leaflets through your doors, it's people, telesales ringing you, do you want this when you didn't, you know, do you want cat litter when you didn't even have a cat? It was all that going on. That's outbound, it's adverts, it's pushing. In the last 10 years, what's come around, and I love that Juliana works in this in industry, and she talks about, you know, content marketing. That is absolutely key right now, and that is inbound, and that's where you help. Yeah. So imagine you are looking for a car, or you're looking for an item for your house or something like that. You might put in Google, where will I find a Renault dealer? Yeah. So Google will go and find anything to do with Renault dealers in that area. And then you might go and find the Renault dealer that you want, and you might click on there, and there might be some information to help you. You know, what's the best car? What's the most economical car? That's all helping. That's giving stuff away. And that's the brilliant thing about marketing right now. And this will resonate with you, hopefully, going forward. It's about giving stuff away, because then people see that content on LinkedIn or Facebook, that you're the company that gives stuff away, and they think they're a good company to work with. So whenever I'm in the market, those people are top of mind. I'm going to give them a ring. So just give you an example. So we've got Juliana, who does the content marketing and video. So one of the things that she could do in terms of giving help away was, you know, maybe, and I don't know what kind of videos that you do, Juliana, sorry, but it might be, you know, using a smartphone to do videos, you know, a 90-second tutorial or something like that. It could be the best videos to do for children. It's giving stuff away all the time. She could be blogging. She could be posting just about content marketing. Suzanne could be doing posts and blogs around timekeeping, how to get organized in a busy world, the 3 things to think about if you're home working, all those things that she could be doing to get stuff out there. So when people need a VA, they think Suzanne, or if they're with a VA, they're thinking, well, my VA is not doing that for me. So it's about that kind of help, and that's the best thing. So if you're thinking about lead generation, if you're pushing those messages out to people, the best thing you can do on social media is to help. Okay, so we've talked about the why, we've talked about the how with the inbound or outbound. Now, what do I do and where do I start with this? So you all need to think about what you want to be famous for. So whether that's being famous as the most helpful virtual PA that will help you get organized, whether that is being a company that will train you in content marketing, whether that's a company that helps you know, customers with the educational platforms that they need, that's going to help people to train better. And again, sorry, I don't understand the whole kind of concept of your business, but it's kind of like, what do I want to be famous for? And I'll give, after this slide, I'll give you an example of what I want to be famous for and how I use LinkedIn to generate leads. The second thing, who am I talking to? Who are my best customers? So I loved it when Suzanne said, I'm looking for busy business owners. Absolutely, because a busy business owner needs to see a post on time management, on how to get organized, how to work efficiently from home. So think about who your best customers are. And if you just have one person in mind, so the HR company where I am today, their MD is Sarah, Amber's new boss. And whenever I write a post, because Sarah's an MD of the business, I have Sarah in mind. I want Sarah to read my post and think, God, she knows what she's talking about when it comes to marketing, because I want another Sarah to read my post and think exactly the same thing. And then what's my magic formula? All right. And this is, I'm going to show you the next slide, which I hope will help you. So this is my magic formula when it comes to lead generation on my chosen platform. Like I said, don't have the others, not interested, is LinkedIn. So this is what I do. I want to be famous for the customer experience. I want people to know me as the marketer who bangs on about customer journey, customer experience to the point. There she is again. Oh, there's Marianne again. That's what I want to be famous for. The second thing is my best customer. So ideally, my best customers are directors, MDs, partners of, I love working with professional services, so accountants, solicitors, HR companies. So again, when I'm doing my post, my best customer, I'm speaking to Sarah whenever I post something on there, because I want to generate more leads from that type of customer. My magic formula. Okay, so I link in with 10 people every single day. Yeah. And they engage with 5 people. So that might be a follow-up. That might be, you know, great to connect. I can see a post that you've done, or I love your website. I try and do that every single day. Now, don't get me wrong. I haven't got a halo on my head. Sometimes I slip up because I'm in a client's office, but that's what I try to do. I try to connect with 10 new people every day in my target market, try and send them an engagement message when they do link in with me. And then every day I try and post. And whether that's a comment, whether that's an observation. So, you know, I was with a client today and one of the team came forward with a testimonial. I love it when the teams get involved in marketing, and then everybody comes back and saying, yeah, Marianne, it's all about getting the team behind marketing, blah, blah, blah. But what that does is that gets me out, that gets Marianne's brand out. So try and post every day, and I follow up every week, But I have this timed. So I have a follow-up Tuesday. So in my diary, it's a recurring diary note, and it's called Follow-up Tuesday, and it's in for an hour. And that's where I go back to my LinkedIn context. I go onto my sales pipeline and I follow it up. And that just keeps you organized. And I hope that, you know, Suzanne will agree, by putting things in your diary, things get done. Another tip that I do to help me with posts, I block out Friday afternoon to think about, what am I going to write about next week? And, you know, I'm out of offices on, that's it, I'm done. What's my next week's focus? So that's my Friday content, and that's in every single week. And then on a Monday morning, I don't speak to anyone before 11 o'clock, because I'm thinking about, right, I need to get these posts on a platform that's just going to automatically get them out for them. Or I don't want to use that post that I mentioned on Friday, I'm going to use this one. I give myself that time. And the reason why I give myself the time is because, and this is the final slide, and then I'll open up to some questions. You've got to commit to social media. You've got to commit to the platform that you have chosen, because it isn't an overnight success. It really isn't. You've really got to give it that, right, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to, even if you have to go for proper training on Facebook or LinkedIn or buy a book, commit to it. The second thing is plan. So I use Trello, and you could even set up a spreadsheet. You could put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across the top, and you could put, I'm going to post about this, that day, that day. Yeah, see what I'm doing? And I'm going to put, I'm famous. I want to be famous for, you know, whatever you want to be famous for. So every day there's something going out. So you're almost creating like a communications plan, and then delegate. So if you're fortunate to be in a team, it's about pulling those people in that can help you with that content. It might be that you're working with, so Suzanne might be working with other VAs, or it might be that Linda's got, you know, suppliers in the education world that you can, you know, guest post for each other, or like what Keith and I did, we're in a WhatsApp group. And so every time, you know, I can't remember how many people's in this WhatsApp group, but we'll say, I put a post on LinkedIn, guys, will you just like or comment? And it gets out. So, it's about using your network to help you improve, or using, asking other people for ideas, maybe your clients. One of the things that I did years ago, I asked my clients, what do you want to, how can I help you in terms of content? So somebody, again, sorry to keep bringing Suzanne up, but Suzanne could just say to a client, what content would you like to see on LinkedIn that would help? And if the clients love you and you love them, they will come forward. So one of the things that we did here, after, again, it's a HR company, we contacted all the clients, we asked what their burning issues were, you know, from lockdown, what were they struggling with? We turned those things into topics, and then, which we saw 4 main topics that we came up with. And then we had blogs, we had FAQs, we had videos, we had experts, because we just asked the question, what do you want to see? And then finally, obviously my business is called Do, so just get on with it. There's a Chinese fable that I heard, and when was the best time to plant, let's call it an oak tree. It wasn't an oak tree, but let's call it that. When's the best time to plant an oak tree? And it was 1,000 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. And that's, so if there's one thing you're going to do from today, maybe revisit your LinkedIn profile, maybe get a new photograph, maybe look at branding, do one thing. And here's a tip, right? Which I tell everybody, buy yourself a book. And your colours, this is obviously my purple book. This is a client book. So I have another one of these, and it comes with a nice pencil. And every day I write in what I've done to help me get to my end goal. So if I want to be an expert in customer journey, customer experience marketing, I will write in it tonight. I helped Keith talk to his amazing group on how to raise awareness on using social media. And I will literally write it down. And then at the end of the week, I'll just flick through and go, getting better at this, getting better at this. So what it does is it stops you from starting, because you just write something, yeah. And you know, I like to post on LinkedIn. If that's all you've done, you're getting better and better at being on social media. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to stop sharing, and then if you've got any questions, just let me know.
Marianne, that was amazing.
Oh, good.
I feel like I've been drinking from the fire hose. As we.
I've not heard that one before. I'll remember that one.
Sorry, that was the saying when I worked in New York, drinking from the fire hose. So much information. Wow, I probably should have said, Marianne, but I record these. But only the people who come to the workshops get access to the recording, and I'm very obviously to send you a link, and there we go. So thank you for your generosity in
you're welcome
doing that. Would anyone like to ask Marianne a question? We're all being very polite and British.
Sorry, Keith, I just need to go off and do something very quickly. I'll be back. Thank you.
Right.
If anybody's got any questions after this, Keith, if you all want to link in with me, it'd be lovely to see you again. Please do that and fire a question over. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, and please, I hope you got something from it. And you know, don't let it overwhelm you. Just do one thing every single day, and it'll be amazing what you get done.
Well, on the plan thing, tomorrow morning I'll be referencing this and you, Marianne, and maybe that's an opportunity for to get out there what you want to be famous for as well. Although you're doing a brilliant job of that already on LinkedIn, but
thank you.
We know each other, so kind of led to this. Linda, Sue, is there anything you want to? So,
no, it's just been really good. Thank you, Marianne. It's quite
you,
thought-provoking. It's sort of stuff that you know is in the head, but getting it out in the right order is interesting. So yeah,
and it's, like I say, the book is the best thing because you're getting it out there what you've done, and it just like, or you could even write what you want to do and just keep that.
I'm big on Trello lists, you name it, everything. So I know exactly
Trello's brilliant, and my comms plan is all on Trello. So yeah, I love it. So well, I'll leave you to your rest of your group. Thank you very much, and like I say, please link in if you've got any questions. Do give me a shout.
And
Thank
good luck to Amber as well. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's now going to get some LinkedIn training. So that's her next task. Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Well, listen, thank you for she's a whirlwind, and kind of good. Right. Well, I'll share this again. Hopefully, we'll crack on. Actually, would you mind if I took a 2-minute break, 3-minute break, maybe just to recharge on the brew front?
Sounds a good idea.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, right, brilliant. Okay, I'll see you in. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience.
What's Marianne's surname again, Keith?
Marianne Smith. In fact, yeah, that's a good point. I'll let me just. Hi, Linda. Right, let me just bring this up. There we go. Yeah. I think do marketing there. Right, in the where's the chat? There we go. There's the chat there. Right, that's her. Okay, right, brilliant. Okay, welcome back. Thank you very much. We'll crack on. Now, that was interesting. So it's a slightly different terminology, and I'll bow to Marianne. She's the expert in that area. I've called it active and passive. She called it basically inbound and outbound. But anyway, so I've talked about that and the different ways of doing that. So some soft, we talked about cold hard facts. Marianne's come in, and okay, so can I just ask you, and this is relevant for LinkedIn and almost anything else, if whatever, can you complete this phrase? It's not what you know, it's
you know.
exactly right. Now, that will never completely disappear. It's who you know, and your, well, actually more specifically, your ability to access influential people. That will never completely disappear. But I think with the advent of social media, then it's a little bit more, that has definitely changed. And in fact, in the last 12 months or ever since COVID, it has changed again, and we're learning every day what those changes mean. But it's not necessarily who you know, it's with who knows you. So and that's why posting with some degree of regularity on LinkedIn is really important. I don't want to major on that because Marianne's been really helpful and there's lots more stuff to get through, but it is about who knows you. What's your point of view on whatever it is you want to be famous for, and how you can offer value or help, is how she called it, to your intended target audience. So here's the other thing about social media, websites and all the rest of it, is that by the time people get to talk to you, because we talked about building a relationship, awareness, all those things online, 70% of all buyers that find their way to you, they've already done their research because because they're able to. They've done their research before you get to engage with them on a one-to-one basis. So it's a buying signal already. So it should be a relatively comfortable conversation with people that are coming in. You shouldn't get too anxious. It's just a gentle qualification, if you like, conversation. We'll talk about that more next week, but 70% of them have already made a decision that that they're interested in buying from you. So it's quite a warm lead by the time people have got to you in that. So also, stop selling. Now, if anyone's been in the old world when we could do face-to-face networking, and in fact, so I met Sue and probably Juliana as well. Certainly when you go selling, I don't know about you when you went networking, but there's always someone in the room that's not interested in what you've got to say. They want to tell you about the latest diet supplement, coffee, whatever it happens to be, but they're in constant broadcast mode trying to set, and it's really tiresome and you get desensitized to it. And the same happens online. If someone's only ever posting because they want to sell something, then you just switch off from that brand. So, you know, don't be that person. It's about building a relationship over time and building trust as well. So stop selling. You know, tip number 2 is, you know, think about what they want, discover what they need, what they want to buy, and you can only learn about that by listening to them. And you'll hear me talk about listening probably for every masterclass, because it's that important. And so get into their consciousness. Now, Marianne called it awareness earlier on. I call it getting into their consciousness, so that when they're ready to buy, you know, their children, some educational electronic sort of board or instrument that Linda makes, you know, it's that brand that comes to mind. When they want the content marketing advice, it's Juliana that comes to mind. When they want a VA, they might not be in that space right now, but it's Sue that comes to mind, because you've been out there, you know, giving of yourself, if you like, and your point of view online. Okay. The other thing is, what is a lead? And I always have this tension with marketing people, because many marketing people will say that a lead is an inquiry that comes from one of your social media campaigns or your marketing campaigns, and that may be true. I also notice that if anyone's using a CRM system, HubSpot is a useful CRM system, and it's got a free version as well. But there are two. There's a marketing qualified lead, and then there's a sales qualified lead. That made me smile when I saw that, because marketing is basically anything that comes in the door is a lead. I'm saying that's not necessarily true. It could be, but until you actually talk to them and engage with them, it may not be a lead. So the principle, again, always, if there's one thing worse than no business, it's bad business, is true. So when I worked at HP, I sat next to the guy, and I worked in financial services, so I was dealing with investment banks, people like that. The guy that sat next to me was the global account director, a very highfalutin term, who sold to Reuters, now known as Thomson Reuters, but a big information services company, global, massive organization. And he was doing millions of dollars a month in all of this technology, this IT hardware, all kinds of things, but he was doing millions of dollars a month. And I said to him, Robert, because that was his name, you must be, you know, wow, you must be making so much money because you're selling all this stuff. And he said, Keith, he said, they've done this deal in the States. I'm sitting there, you know, working myself to death, and I'm losing 30% margin on every box. I'm losing money. The only reason it's worth doing is because they buy services, break, fix, support, a bit of consultancy here and there. We make a very tiny bit of margin. So a bit like Catherine that I mentioned earlier, is running really hard just to stand still. So that is another example. That was probably great business for them in the States, but it's bad business for Robert sat here. So don't take on bad business, no matter. So anyway, so ideally that lead that comes in is a red hot opportunity where someone wants to buy exactly what you sell right here, right now. And Christmas is a big driver for some of that if you've got a B2C kind of offering as you might have, Linda. But more likely, it's going to be something that requires you to do something, requiring your time and attention, if you like. So it's an inquiry that needs to be almost curated, cared for, nurtured, or qualified in some way, a bit of questioning as to, you know, to whether that's a customer that you want or a customer that wants to buy from you. So your decision as to whether you're going to sell to them or not, because you have rights. You don't have to sell to them if you think it's a bad fit in some way. I'm not going to go, I'm going to leave that video for next week. I think it will fit in better. The other dynamic I would put into this as well. As I once interviewed with this guy, I am going back 20 years, a guy called Scott McNeely with Sun Microsystems. And, you know, if you're involved with some of these big programs with ERDF, I know, Linda, you're aware of the Boost program, you're gonna get told strategy is everything. And sometimes it is, in fact, often it is, but not always. For me, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You may have heard that saying. Someone really famous said that. But culture, you know, wanting to come to work. So Emma, who couldn't be with us this morning, the big thing about her company, one of the selling points actually in that ecosystem I talk about, is the culture that they have. Is a very can-do attitude, and it sounds like it's all hands on deck for her today. So, which is why she's not on this call. I'll talk to her later. So Scott McNeely, he said to me when I interviewed him, because I asked him, "What's your strategy?" He said, "Our strategy is to be tactical." Now, I think that's really interesting because I've never, ever heard anyone else say that. And ordinarily, if I'd never spoken to him again, I would have just dismissed it. Well, you know, that's crazy. However, what I would say is he went on to sell his company, Sun Microsystems, to Oracle a few years later for $7.5 billion. I wasn't there at the time, so I didn't benefit from that sale. But I really like the idea of our strategy is to be tactical, because it means if you care in the moment about opportunities coming in and you are opportunistic, actually your strategy can bubble up to the surface as a result of doing that. So even though you might have had a strategy over here, you may have a slightly different strategy when those opportunities come into you. Now, for instance, when I started out with my own business, just only a couple of years ago, my target audience changed, because even though I had in my head what I thought the market wanted and my experiences, actually, I did some analysis 6 months later with the kind of clients that I'd acquired. So even though I thought I was going to be doing business with a customer segment over here, in reality, what the market showed me is that the customers were over here. I hope that makes some kind of sense. So I would encourage you to look at your own customer base as well, just to see what, and it can be very sobering, and it can tell you a lot about your business. So even though I think that's our market, actually our market is over here. The data is telling us something different. You may have heard about the fourth industrial revolution, which is big data, which is the ability to understand what's happening. And big data doesn't have to be big, it just has to be the right kind of data. I'm going down a rat hole, but anyway, so you don't ignore opportunities because they're not strategic. If they're worth doing, they're worth doing. That's my point. Okay, right. So again, passive lead generation. For me, this splits down to three distinct areas, and they're your kind of your silent salespeople. So there's your website, there's your LinkedIn, and then there's social media in general. Now, Marianne was very strong on, I do LinkedIn, that's all I do. She's on Facebook, but she very rarely posts on there. So it's almost not worth having a Facebook account. She would agree with that. So she's very definite about what she does, because she's looked at where her customers are coming from and where her customers hang out. And her customers, because she's a business to business offer, as actually we all are to a greater or lesser extent. So LinkedIn is the #1 platform. And it may well be, if there's a visual aspect to your businesses, as there will be certainly for Juliana, and even I would argue for Linda's, then maybe Instagram is something you should consider, but not at the expense of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is by far the most important platform. This is why I was so keen for Marianne to talk about that, the essence of that today. Okay, right. So your website. And websites, a bit like LinkedIn, are living, breathing things. It's a bit like the fourth bridge. It's never quite, when they talk about painting the fourth bridge, as soon as they finish finished painting it, it's time to start at the beginning again. It's a continuous exercise, and the website is a continuous investment of yours as well, of making sure it's got the right images, it's got the right sales messages on there, you're attracting the right kind of clients. So the so what of that is, does your website state clearly what you do, your offer, a bit like the value proposition when we first kicked off this masterclass. And alignment is the hallmark of all great companies, be they very small or very large. What will all the directors say pretty much the same thing? Will all the employees, remember we talked about NASA and going to the moon, even the janitors were on message, I'm helping to send a man to the moon. That's old hat, but it's exactly the same message. So the alignment was there. In relation to passive lead generation as well. So is anyone familiar with SEO, search engine optimization? You come across that? Okay. Yeah. I say search engine. Now, sorry, is there a question there?
No, it's Harvey trying to get on the call. That's all, Pete. So I'm trying to discourage him.
Okay, no worries.
The odd sit down and the odd come here, I'll just get him out of the way.
Yeah. Okay. So so search engine optimization. You know, sometimes you can have if you've got a big marketing budget, then you can do both. But search engine optimization, I think about this in terms of first of all, results. The results are really key. But I like the idea of search engine optimization in the medium to long term. I think of it in terms of who are you enriching? And I think you're investing in an asset, which is your website. You may choose to engage an external agency to do that search engine optimization for you, so that when people are searching for a manufacturing company, you are on page one. And if you're a virtual assistant, you're on page one, etc., etc. Because keywords are you're constantly updating for keywords. So for instance, if you're buying car insurance, every time you click on someone's paid ad, it's about £57. That's instantly cost that company about £57. It's a bit of an auction, it goes up and down, but that's the natural prevailing rate. So it will be similar in your world. If you're doing paid ads, then it's going to cost you per click. So you need to make sure that's absolutely right. In search engine optimization land, with what keywords are being searched for, you're investing in your websites, as you're just raising the probability of the right kind of leads. That's where all that is going. So that, because they've 70% decided to buy from you, by the time they get to you, in general, then it's a much more fluid and much more natural conversation, that you're not really trying to force your product down their throats. They're more pulling the product out of your hand. It's a much more, shall we say, comfortable sale, because you've made the investment of search engine optimization. You can learn about that and do it yourself. If you don't have a marketing budget available, it is possible to do that. But if you have got marketing budget, then you should be able, depending on the scale of your businesses, then you should be able to get someone to engage someone to do your search engine optimization, your SEO work, for between £200 and £600 a month. You should be able to do that quite comfortably, and that is relatively inexpensive, given engaging a telesales outfit or whatever. So when the cash starts coming in the door, then that's an option for you. It's also got to be frictionless, so it's got to be simple. If you've got an ad campaign out there, I had a client in Lancaster, actually, a year or so ago, and he he cleaned bins. So he went around people's houses and he cleaned out their bins. So it's an unglamorous business, but he's really busy, and it's much more lucrative than some professional services firms I've come to. But the point was, when we did an advertising campaign for him, for Martin, he was so busy during the day that he wouldn't get around to responding to these incoming leads until he got home in the evening. And I can understand why that was. But because we've got an attention deficit thing, if I respond to an ad or respond to someone's, put a message on someone's website, I want to know now, are you the person I should be talking to about this service? I want to buy a service now. I don't want a response later that night, perhaps at the other end of the day, because I've got bored and I probably bought from someone else and he was finding that. So just be aware that leads have a bit of a half-life, in that you need to respond to them quickly. Now, if you respond to someone and say, I'm really busy today, but I am on this, is it okay if I come back to you later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning? You've engaged them then, and they will feed back to you from then, and they'll say, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But they know they're being communicated with. They know they're being communicated with. They're in good hands, but you must live up to your promises. Something else I came across when I worked with Lancaster University Management School was that they were having trouble recruiting to this particular master's program. I know I've talked about this once or twice, but there was an aspect on there which caught me by surprise in a positive way, in that I got live chat put on the Lancaster University website. I don't know if anyone's, you've almost certainly come across it before with buying stuff off Amazon or whatever it happens to be. But it really surprised me, because I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on my phone. So if someone goes on the Lancaster University website about this particular course and says, I want to talk to someone, I'm going to put it on my phone, but I might be out at lunch between 12:30 and 1:30. So I'm going to get someone else to staff it during that time. And lunchtime was the last time I found out. It was the last time that people are searching for master's courses. They're searching for master's courses at 10 at night when the children are in bed, or 6 in the morning for the same reason. And because I'd left live chat on all the time, press here to speak to someone, that's exactly what they did. Plus it was a global, we had inquiries coming in from all over the world. So I could get messages coming in at 2 in the morning UK time, because it was 10 o'clock PM somewhere else, or 6 AM somewhere else in the world. So my phone was buzzing 24 hours a day, but not at lunchtime. So but the very fact that I was able to get straight on the case and engage with people straight away, I got them hooked. I could talk to them about what their needs were, and it was incredibly valuable. I thought it would be a little bit helpful, but it made a real difference in getting those 23 people over the line by the 31st of August. Live chat was, I would say, a light bulb or a pivotal moment in that campaign. So your ability to engage with inbound leads is incredibly valuable. And so I would encourage you to think about that. If your website, if you're using it as a tool to attract customers, and God, I hope everyone's in that place. So it's also dead simple. We talk about frictionless trade, making it really simple for customers. So you don't want them to fill in the form. That takes time. No one's got time for that. If you get them to press a button, contact me, then that's much more valuable. Okay, right. So I'm conscious of time, but I want to do that. Okay, so passive lead generation. So LinkedIn. I'm going to now, Linda, you may well feel that you've had your fill of LinkedIn, so you may not join me for the basics thing this afternoon. Totally understand that. But while we're on the call, your LinkedIn, Marianne mentioned about photo already, really important. I want to talk to you, just in case, about something called your social selling index. And we talked about goals earlier on. Have a goal for your marketing. Offline, and after this session, when you get a chance, Google LinkedIn Social Selling Index. It will take you to a particular website. You may have to log in again from your smartphone just to tell it who you are and which account you want. And it will tell you where you rank in your industry. It's a sobering statistic sometimes, but where you rank in terms of your ability to build relationships online. But it's a benchmark, if you like, and it's somewhere to build from. And over time, over the next few weeks, months, when you are offering your value out, your point of view on LinkedIn, that will improve. So it's really about that, that tick box therapy that Marianne was referencing earlier. That's right up there. So are you making progress? Don't forget, this is a slow burn. That's not an overnight process. So, and again, if your LinkedIn headline says manager at self-employed, that's next to useless. It's got to be much more refined and specific than that. Proactive. Now, I'm not going to go through this anymore, but Marianne said 10 contacts. Was it a day or a week? I think it was a week.
Day, I thought.
Was it a day? Okay, wow, that's 50 a week. That is, but having said that, the maximum number of contacts, direct first-line connections on LinkedIn is 30,000. And I was working out a couple of months ago that I'm going to be 117 at the current rate before I get to 30,000. So I better up my game around connecting in only with relevant people. And I get a few inbound inquiries. Some of them are followed up with an immediate sales pitch, which is next. I've already said, don't be that person. But I do believe, because back to it's who knows you rather than who you know, because those people will know others, and you want to be in their consciousness. So I do believe that's a really worthwhile use of your time to proactively build connections. And again, all based around what you want to be famous for. Now, just while we're on LinkedIn, offline, go to inleads.co.uk, and they run a free trial for about 2 weeks, and it's an automated way of acquiring more first line connections. You'll have to fill out about 19 questions before the campaign will go live, but it will basically say, who do you want to connect with? And you might want to connect with the procurement director at a retail firm, or I want to connect with the CEO of a care home group, or for me, I would want to connect with perhaps a sales director or a managing director of an SME. And it will basically go off in a particular area or right across the UK or worldwide, but it will find relevant contacts for you, send them an automated message, which you pre-write, you pre-craft, so it's your message, and it will follow up a couple of days later. It's an amazing tool. There are others, but they offer a free trial, and they're based in Leeds, and I know James quite well. So I would encourage you, it won't cost you anything. I would encourage you to investigate that anyway. Okay, right. So Marianne was going to do that. I'm going to move on. She's already been on. Okay, so active lead generation. I've talked briefly about paid ads, and paid ads are
And you go.
okay, right. I'm back. Don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Now we can. Couldn't for the last however many minutes.
Okay, right. Can you still see? Am I still sharing? I don't think I am, am I?
Yeah, not sharing, no, just on
Right,
screen.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, right. Let's go there again. Let's try that again. 1 second. Okay, right. We're going. Okay, right. So paid ads, Facebook. This is very much This is hard to do on your own. I would strongly encourage you not to do it. I know this, I got burned firsthand when we bought what I call an Airbnb now, but it was a holiday let. We built our own website. I'm going back three years or so, and I spent about 1,500 quid over 3 months trying to create a Facebook advertising campaign. It resulted in no sales, no bookings at all, and then I just threw in the towel, went on Airbnb, and they do it all for you. My point being is that you need a specialist. This is specialist work. I can't do that. I can recommend a couple of people, but if you want leads, this is the point. If you want leads right here, right now for your service, then a Google or a Facebook campaign, depending on what you're trying to do, is the right here, right now return that will deliver leads for you online. And you can get now if you go to an external firm, there'll be two budgets. There'll be a management fee, which can be anything from, if it's a small campaign, 100, you could get them for 150 quid, let's say, their management fee, plus whatever you spend each month on Facebook ads, and that might be 250, 300 pounds. So right away you'll be talking about 400 or 500 pounds overall spend. So if you're in that space, and that could deliver leads right here, right now, with people that want to buy. But it's very much a blunt instrument, I feel, and I think organic generation of leads, because you're putting out great content on LinkedIn, is a much better medium to long-term investment in your business, and you're creating content which can be reused at another time. So that's my strong recommendation. The phone call, I mentioned cold calling earlier. Just remind me again, has anyone ever made a cold call before? Okay, that can be Linda, if you never had to make a sort of cold call or phone up a company that you've never dealt with before.
Well, not in the current role at all.
Okay, right, okay. But even seasoned sales professionals will confess that they'll do it, but they don't like doing it for whatever reason that might be. It can be really, really intimidating. But there is a way, if you know that you want to, because you may have done your research on LinkedIn and you want to speak to a particular person at University of Birmingham or Lancaster University because they're interested in, you think they'll be interested in what you're doing, there is a particular way to run a cold call. If that's not of interest, then I'm just going to move on. Now, I know also that Emma's company, and maybe to a limited extent, Linda, your own company, get involved in trade shows and exhibitions. Is that something that's in your sort of marketing strategy or plan, Linda?
Been to the BET, which is a big educational show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually been. The first time we got Microbit to let's have a bit of their space, which was really good. But it's very expensive. It's very, very expensive for us to sort of go and do it on our own. So it's something, we might do in the future. Well, it's just virtual this year. Anyway, they do it in January.
Yeah.
What did you get out of it, Linda?
Sorry?
What did you get out of it? What happened as a result of that?
Well, we did talk to a few people while we were there, and actually one sort of retailer that we hoped would start stocking us, that it never really come off. I think actually seeing them, talking to them face to face, did actually get them to start buying from us, and they've turned out to be quite a good customer, really. But there were several false starts, and then I think it probably was the face to face, have a coffee, and look, we're reasonable people, or I don't, something about it just helped. Or maybe it was just having met you face to face, it's a lot harder to just go, oh, to forget about you. I don't know. So, but it's I think I've got a big problem. I still don't really know who our end customer is, and therefore the best time, the best approach for them. So, well, we'll work on that.
Linda, let's if you've got time, let's get another one-to-one call in and try and get through to the next level of that, if you like. I'm happy to do that if you can make the time available.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
We'll do that. So the point being, trade shows are, and in fact, I worked with one client. They up until this year, they did 2 a year, and it generated about 75% of their annual turnover. Those 2 trade shows. So they're generally very specific. They're generally very targeted, and this is why you have to choose the right one to make sure that you're going to get. But they're very expensive as well. So if you don't get it quite right, you're it's really costly and a waste of time. So they can be really worth doing. Now, I've not done one of these virtually before, but I do know that is the events marketplace, trade shows and expo. They're having a pivot just the same as all the rest of us as well. So they're probably finding their feet. You can't beat face-to-face if you're good face-to-face, but actually if you get good on Zoom and you know how to put yourself and your messages across, it can be surprisingly close to a face-to-face, so shall we say, meeting experience. So it's worth investing time in. So trade shows and exhibitions, they're probably off for at least the next 6 months, frankly. Now, the next thing is networking. That's active lead generation. And networking, and I'm a member of the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, and I do something here in York as well, York Professionals they're called. But you've got a pretty good Chamber of Commerce where you are, Linda, with the Lancashire Chamber of Commerce. They can be an excellent source of, if it's right for your business, of business, networking opportunities, talking to other like-minded business owners, but also, generating opportunity as well. So I would encourage you to look at, even if you're not a member at the moment, they'll have a startup, should we say, entree, which is generally relatively cost effective. The Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce does something for a couple of £100 a year that you can get involved in. There are various levels from that. Now, obviously, well, actually, if you're in tier 3, you probably can't go and meet face to face. Even if you wanted to, you can't do that. But they are putting on, they're getting used to putting on Zoom or Teams or whatever it happens to be, but a video networking opportunity. I would say these are worth getting involved in because they are there are opportunities. They may not be right here, right now opportunities that Google and Facebook can be, but again, it's part of building those relationships, provided they can introduce you to your target audience, your intended target audience. And Linda, we've got to do some more work for you on getting a better understanding of that. But they can be an excellent, I can think of 3 clients in particular that came out of my Chamber of Commerce. They also do speed networking, which is great fun. And if you've got your 60-second pitch, again, which you'll have received an ebook on that by now, then you can create your own 60-second pitch, and you can create opportunities coming out of that, provided the Chamber of Commerce could introduce you to your target audience. Again, it's all around your target market. So networking, I'm going to move on if that's okay, because I'm conscious of time. Okay, right. So paid ads, we talk about that. again, a great way to burn marketing budget if you're not careful and don't know exactly what you're doing. So my strong advice, if you've got marketing budget, get an expert to do this for you. I'm not one, but if you want, as a great way to generate, by the way, engagement is go on LinkedIn and ask, I'm looking for a digital marketing agency, paid ads, can anyone recommend one? Oh, you'll get a list as long as your arm. Great way to create engagement, because a fiercely competitive marketplace doing that. But your cost to acquire, which for an insurance company is £57 a lead, your cost to acquire can be very, very expensive if you're not careful and don't know what you're doing. Okay, so the telephone, I've talked about this, I'm not going to go into that. But actually, even if you get an incoming telephone call, you do want to know next steps, if there are any. Am I going to phone you? Am I going to send you a bit of information, or are you going to send me? So be very specific. I know this sounds obvious, but actually when you're in the heat of the moment talking to a potential customer, sometimes you can lose sight of the obvious. So just bear that in mind. There's got to be a call to action. Trade shows, we've talked about trade shows. I'm not going to go into the phone call. I'll do that another time. Excuse me. We've talked about networking. Oh yeah, etiquette. So I've talked about the Chamber of Commerce. There's also the IOD, Institute of Directors. Now, the Institute of Directors has a regionalised approach as well. There is one based out of Manchester for the Northwest, Linda, and it used to be run by Claire Ebury. I think she's just moved on. They had a really strong base of manufacturers. That's my point. They had a round table of manufacturers, and that may be interesting, not necessarily from a lead gen, but from a partnering or collaboration opportunity. So I'd encourage you. And there are also, they don't seem the obvious people for you, Linda, but there might be for Juliana and or Sue, which is BNI. If anyone's come across them, it's very, should we say, almost militaristic in its approach, or American in its approach, in that you've got to be there really early, and you've got to present them with referrals and all the rest of it. And frankly, I left Canary Wharf because I wanted to get out of that life. But it does work for some people, and it works extraordinarily well for some people. And there is a free one as well, which is Pathway to Grow, P2G. And they, I believe, are national. They're certainly very strong in the West Midlands, but it's a free one. Now, the reason I mention these is they also are having to pivot. So moving, face to face is not going to be possible, but they are doing online stuff, and it's another opportunity for you to engage with other business owners as well. And don't forget, the person sat opposite you, like we're talking to each other just now, they may not be a potential client for you, but they may have someone in their professional network, in their LinkedIn network, that could be. So it's about your influence, and therefore who knows you. There is an etiquette, just while we're on this slide, and Juliana, I'll bet with your background, excuse me, in PR and comms, you've been to networking events where they imbibe you with food and drink until even I can't eat or drink anymore. But there is an etiquette because in the old world where you shake hands, now quite what's going to happen with the handshake going forward, I don't know. But the etiquette is you hold your plate with the, and this is ever so basic, but it's really important. You hold your plate with the right, and you do the eating with your left and the drinking with your left, so that you've always got a clean hand to offer someone when they go forward. That's what Debrett's tells you is the etiquette for networking. Right. So summing up, active lead generation here is your pitch. Now, if you're not making cold calls, then this still applies, because you will come across, because lockdown will be over at some point. You will meet other people face to face. You will go networking. It's going to be something that there's going to be a pent up demand by the time we can actually meet. you will need to, some kind of elevator pitch to position your company and what you do in the right way with the right people. It takes time, it needs practice, but it will need to be done. I'm working on a separate workshop which is going to be talking about cold calling, and I'm just putting the content together for that at the moment, because there is a way to do it which is low tension and for you and really pragmatic from the person that picks up the phone as well. So I form upfront contracts with people. I get permission to talk to them rather than lead them down the line. I think there's more integrity to that kind of approach. But an upfront contract is literally as much as me saying to Linda, I promise to send you my ebook on 7 top tips to a great sales pitch. I promise. I'm making an upfront contract with Linda to do that, and if I do that and send it, and irrespective of whether Linda likes it or not, she can trust me that I've done that, and we're starting to build trust between the two parties. That's an important thing. So upfront contracts, I'm a big believer in those things. Confirming next steps when you are on the phone to someone, so everyone's crystal clear. You would not believe the number of times, even with salespeople and business people, the number of times you have a phone call with someone and nothing in particular has been agreed. You've had a nice chat, but all that has really happened is that you've had tea and biscuits. Nothing has got agreed. There's no next steps. It's really, really important. And Sue is incredibly organized. I've got to believe you do that all the time with your clients, Sue, is that next steps, what's going to happen, when. I mean, and actually, if you're a business owner, it's a pleasure to be on the receiving end of someone that's organized like that, because it just takes so much off your table, knowing that someone else is doing it for you. Okay, so page ads, live chat, they've got a half-life. It's really important that someone responds quickly. You may not have all the information, but just for that other customer, the other end of the screen, so to speak, just the fact that they've been responded to, you've set the expectation, that upfront contract, if you like, and they know that they're going to get the information or a phone call back from someone else later that day. They know they're being attended to. That's the point. It's incredibly important, particularly when we're living in, frankly, an environment of heightened anxiety as it is. Okay, then we talked about passive lead generation. Don't take any of your channels for granted. We talked in the main about LinkedIn. You've got to test what's working best for your business, because often you can start out in one direction, but the data, the feedback tells you something else. That's what happened to me when I first started. I thought I'm going to be doing business with all of these, Avivas and Eons and all those guys, when actually the market was by far the most important thing, was telling me something else. So that was really important. And also try and keep some degree of metrics. Now, Marianne was saying, and Juliana reminded me, 10 contacts a day on LinkedIn. Now that's a lot. That's certainly more than I do, but actually that's something that Marianne has discovered works for her, and has worked for her for a long time since she's been on LinkedIn. So it's whatever works for you, and every business and every person is different, and I strongly believe in that. So yes, okay, so and that's what I call, by the way, a lead indicator. A lead indicator is your effort out to the market. So if you're making 10 contacts a day, if you over a period of time, that's going to relate to, say, 2 or 3 new customers every month over a period of time. So the lead indicator is what you're giving out, the 10 contacts a day. The lag indicators are the outcomes of that work. So 2 to 3 new customers, that would be a lag indicator. Okay, right. So Google Analytics, if you've got someone working on your website, is an absolute mine of information as well, and it's free. Now you have to know how to use it, and I don't, but I can tell you, if you've got people looking after your website, You need to be on top of this, because again, that can be a rich source of information. They may not send you an email, or they may not send you any degree of communication, but if you know you've got someone who's visited your website over the last 2 or 3 days and spent time on certain pages, there's a remarketing opportunity. If you get to know their IP address, then you can start sending them information relevant to their world, and that can build a relationship and maybe a new customer over a period of time. So analytics is very, very, very important. And then a call to action. So, and your call to action in someone engaging on your website is, do you want to learn more? Click here. It could be get a quote. That's what you would get on a car insurance firm. And if you're doing contract manufacturing, that might be get a quote, or send me a message, or whatever it is. Leave your phone number, we'll get back to you, whatever it is, but there's got to be a call to action. And the social selling index, which I would encourage you to look at offline. We talked about Googling LinkedIn social selling index. It will give you a number. I can tell you now, it's going to be really sobering. The first time you get that number, you'll think, oh my goodness, I've got a lot of work to do. And frankly, we all do. And then making a goal. And it doesn't matter almost what the goal is, as long as it's smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, a SMART goal, which I'm sure you're all aware of, for your number of contacts on LinkedIn, for whatever it happens to be. But make a goal, a realistic and achievable goal, and then stick to it, and then good things will happen as a result of it. Okay, so knowing what you now know about lead generation in the last sort of 1 minute or so, you probably might feel that, God, there's a lot that's happened on this on this masterclass. What improvements are you going to make to your LinkedIn? Just want you to reflect on that a little bit, and then what other change are you going to make to generate more leads? And there's always something more or different that can be done. So I would encourage you to reflect on that. If anyone wants to shout out what they're going to do, you're more than welcome to do that, but reflection at the very least, I would encourage you to do. So finally, talk to InLeads, or go to that website, inleads.co.uk, the free trial, investigate that. And then this afternoon, in an hour, I'm going to do Brilliant Basics on LinkedIn. Again, exactly what it says on the tin about how to populate your profile, how to search, how to make a post, an effective post, I hope. But it'll be real basics. It's free, it's open for everyone that wants to join. You can see it, you'll find it on Eventbrite. In fact, if you've got a smartphone, point it up at the QR code, and that will take you through to it. You're very welcome. It's starting at 2 p.m. And are there any questions while we're on the line, or are we all done? I'm going to assume we're all done.
It's been really useful, Keith. Thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. Great. Thank you very much. Next week, we're going to talk about client needs. When that client's phoned you, how do you get the most out of them to deliver a compelling proposal, and seeing that process all the way through to a sale. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we qualify needs, and there's a particular way that can do that, which is really in discovery mode. We'll talk about that. That's next week. All right, so thank you very much. Stay safe, everyone, particularly right now. So just be careful, everyone. If there's no more questions, I'll do the admin side of this and get the recording out to you a little bit later on this afternoon. And Linda, I'll drop you a line about organising that one-on-one again, if that would be helpful. But okay, but take care in the meantime, everyone. Stop sharing that just now, and have a brilliant rest of the day. And I'll see you same time next week. All right, take care, everyone.
Thanks, Keith. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.